Oh, hey, Caleb.
How's it going?
Great. I'm Keith Hillock, as you know, running for state senator. And I understand that you have a whole list of questions that you want to
I got
ask me.
a ton of questions. that I
I'm
wanna
looking
ask
forward
you.
to it. I'm an open book, nothing to hide. You just shoot away, whatever you want.
Okay. Well, first question is how did you get to, New Mexico?
Oh, that's a great story. I should write a book about some of that. Well, I've been all over every state in this country. Lived over in Arizona for about 15, 16 years. Coached baseball, football, basketball over there. And after the last child of ours, we have 5 of them, graduated, it's kind of, well, what do we want to do? Honestly, I'm not thrilled about Arizona. So I like checking with my wife, and she's always wanted to open a classical education school. So she's opened STEM schools, special educational schools with autism. She's worked in the regular ed. So it was really a choice that my wife made to move to New Mexico. And I said, no, not New Mexico. So when she told me Gallup, I am like, no way. Because I used to drive through here on my way to the oil fields. I work out of state. And to me, it's always just a pass-through town. But my life doesn't get dictated by what I want. You got to kind of follow your heart, what the Lord wants. And I go, why New Mexico? She says, well, it has the worst education in the nation. And the worst place in the state at that time was Gallup, New Mexico, McKinley County. And I said, well, if that's where your heart's being drawn, yeah, I'm not going to be one to say no. So we moved here to open up Hojo Academy. And it's been one of the best successful stories here in the community. We're growing already out of one location to this location. We've outgrown this one. Now we have to go back to the other one. And you can't judge a book by its cover. You've heard that, meaning I was so wrong about Gallup. The people are the most wonderful people, and that's what makes a community. And that's kind of my heart's been drawn to everybody here. I just love it. I love where I live. I love the people, my neighbors. And down in Arizona, you could have 50 neighbors around here in the block and not know one of them. And I really enjoy it here.
Yeah.
So what drew me here was my wife trying to make a better life for others. And that's what it's all about, serving a community. And I got hooked right in because I see what she's doing. And anybody that comes here, they become family. They'll come right in and want to see the wonderful things. They want to partake in it. And that's what I'm doing too. So I'm just helping out the community by doing anything I'm told, like a good husband.
And Hojo Academy, that's like a testament to you trying to help, and you and your wife trying to help the education system.
Yes.
Just because, like, just see, like, what this was before was like a Catholic school, but now it's grown into so much more. And how many kids do you bus, like?
Well, we bus, I have about a little over 400 signed up for busing there.
Wow.
That's larger than most 12 other districts around me.
Yeah.
And just this one little school.
Yeah.
And I think our population, some ways over 700, but this past month, the commission, the Education Commission, let us move our population up to 1,200. So
Come on.
we're going to keep growing, and it's not going to stop. And we're already getting calls could you come to our community to open something up? Little sister split. People just love the idea of a good classical education.
So do you think it's important that schools have something like the word Hojo that, represents what the school board is using?
Yeah, people should have something of a pledge that they teach their children, and we teach about balance, harmony, good, that Hojo stands for. And I would assume most schools do that. I'm not sure. I know every my children, we brought them up through the Catholic school system, through about sixth grade. For some of my older ones, the younger ones, did all public school system. But I don't have any complaints. If you're an involved parent, you stay involved, and you work with the teachers and administration. You can even whether it's a public school system or a religious school, private school, or a charter school like this one. As long as the parents stay involved in the kids' lives, you could pretty much send them to any school, and you can dictate their education as far as opt them in and out of things that you find inappropriate. You just let them know, my son shouldn't be part of this program, or my daughter shouldn't be part of this program. I'm going to opt her out.
Yeah.
So work with the other administrators, whether it's a public school or not. And that's really what it is. It starts in the family. Parents have to be involved in the kids' education if they want to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it like, what is something, because for me, my dad, my mom, they grew up on the reservation, and there's very little opportunity on the reservation. So how would you, like, let's say you get elected as senator, how would you create opportunity for people here, like at schools or just like in general?
I hear that a lot. People on the reservation don't have a whole lot of opportunity. I totally disagree. You guys have got so much opportunity, you're just not aware of it. Because I could talk to the same family or people that are living in the inner city, and they're going to say, we don't have the opportunity. They would love to be out there on the reservation and learning the things from agriculture, to farming, to raising sheep or whatever your family is involved in. So there's a lot of people that would say they would love the opportunity that you have. So it's just mindset. Now, honestly, I live on the reservation. I love it out there. But I do understand what you're talking about. I see what you're talking about. The opportunities, you have them. It's just that I think sometimes you just don't realize what you have. The opportunities are, you still have the same opportunities as someone that doesn't live on that reservation. The problem is, what you're going through for someone on the reservation makes you a lot better person. In my opinion, you're tougher. You're like the pioneers in the old days, how these people that form these communities, form these towns, without people like those skills that you have, our farmers, our natives, we wouldn't be where we are. So I would say, if you're looking for opportunities as far as educational opportunities, learning a trade, what they're doing out at Navajo Tech is wonderful. And our governor is supporting you wonderfully out there. We want to keep that growing. We want to bring the trades into the reservations. We need more of them, though. Some of the things that we struggle with out on the reservation are simple things like driving to go get gasoline. Now, we've had where a lot of stores are closing down because they had to decide whether they wanted alcohol or gasoline to sell a hard liquor or gasoline. My opponent put this into a bill, a little amendment in the county. If there's a county, I think it's between 56,000 and 57,000. Some real tiny thing they threw an amendment in, which forced stores to decide whether they want to continue selling vodka or liquor or gasoline. Well, they make more money off of liquor. So now all of us people on the reservation have to travel 20 miles to go get gas for a chainsaw to cut down the trees that people need to survive. Or we have to just extra more money. Most of the people on the reservation, very poor. You look at their median income, household income, it's anywhere from 10,000, maybe 12,000. It's really low. But now we're having to spend more money just because of that foolish bill. You take opportunities away from people to be able to get basic needs like fuel. whether it's for your car or things.
Yeah.
Opportunity of education. You have the same opportunities. It's just that it makes it so much harder. Earlier today, I'm getting ready to go ahead and develop my bus routes for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going all the way to the Arizona border to pick up one student. She's going to be on that bus for over an hour, where that's a long ride for a kid, a kindergartner at that. We do it, anything we can to bring people in to get the education they need. But those are some of the things at the reservation, and they would like to see more of. They like to see, I'm being asked as I go to these chapter houses, a lot of them would like to see another BIE school, Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA school, Bureau of Indian Education, BIE, school that's closer than, say you live up where I live in Brett Springs, and I have a high school, someone in high school. Well, they have to go all the way around to Wingate. That's a long drive, you know. There is one thing I'll touch on about living on the reservation that is unacceptable, in my opinion, and I'm going to work on that. And everybody on the reservation agrees with this. We, in Brett Springs, if I have an issue with, say, there's a fire, or last year there was a head-on collision on Brett Springs Road. We call the police, the sheriff's department. Sorry, they won't come. State police won't come. Oh, it's jurisdictional. That's an Indian reservation road. It's on the res. The closest point is Crown Point. They told me they're over an hour and a half away, but yet they're on a call right now. So it could be a couple of hours while someone's sitting there with a concussion. I mean, it's unacceptable. What type of services would you call that? It's no services. I would equate that to, say, living in Maine and I'm calling Rhode Island to come rescue me. I mean, that's kind of the difference. That's my New England accent from when I was a kid growing up. And I never got, but a lot of states are a little closer. But you're still asking someone 2 hours away to come because they don't communicate with one another when there was an issue. When you get broken into, it's the same thing. You're waiting and waiting and waiting for the Navajo Nation to come respond. So I'm asking, the people are asking, the citizens are asking for more depots. So I would love to be able to support getting more depots closer to the people's needs to cut down that response time. And it's unacceptable having to wait an hour and a half to 2 hours. Sometimes they're coming from Port Defiance, depending on what reservation you live, where you live, what chapter you live. So, yeah, we definitely need more services for the reservation. That's huge. The reservation needs more services, whether it be fire, police, ambulance. The ones that we do have, some of them are volunteers, and we don't even have paved roads to be able to. That ambulance is just bouncing. Last year we had a fire truck go in the ditch up in Brett Springs. So we could do a better job communicating with the county and the state, because sometimes it's not always someone else's fault. It's just a communication fault where they might need a right of way, or we got to get the funding. So, but there's a lot going on out there, a lot of projects.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep those moving smoothly, and we're going to improve on that. And we got to come up with a better system for expediting those, and we can do that through communication with our county leaders.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize that they didn't go out to Brett Springs because of, I guess, jurisdiction. That's crazy.
It's jurisdictional.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wild. So you touched on a little bit of how on the res, like, the household income is really low. Like,
Yeah.
So how would you help that?
Well, if you were to Google different chapters or different areas, I can't remember the website, but you'll be able to find it really easy. It'll tell you what their average income is for a household. The only way to help that is we're going to focus on the families. It's not going to happen overnight, I can promise you that. But if you focus on the families and we get our crime rates down, that's going to bring in more good paying jobs. We bring up our development, meaning it's kind of a chicken and the egg scenario where what should come first, and people fight over what comes first. So we got to put our resources, our money into infrastructure, or we got to put it towards building an industrial park, things like that. They fight over, but yet nobody's going to come to our community if we have the worst education in the state and the highest crime rate in the entire state. So with that being said, to change that, we have to start focusing on the family. If we focus on the family and give them the resources that they need, whether we do a campaign in the school systems, whether we do an outreach program, the one thing we need triple of is more good counselors, more behavioral health counselors here, a good behavioral health center, drug addiction centers, trying to get the families the resources they need so when they do have an issue, then we can go ahead and address that as a community to help that family. I will say I'm going to end up calling on a lot of my religious leaders to be helpful too. And I'll look right into the camera and say, the benevolence fund, I'm not sure if you're aware of what that is, but a lot of churches have gotten away from the benevolence fund. And that's where communities are relying on the government to take care of them. Well, when it comes to certain issues, this whole community was founded on pioneers, the reservations, where they took care of themselves and they helped out the families. They all reach out to each other, neighbors checking on neighbors. Our church leaders are starting to get away from that, with the exception of Catholic Charities, are doing a great job. I'd like to support that, more of that, where you actually help rehabilitate people. You get them the drug and alcohol counseling they need. It could be something simple as marriage counseling. It could be just little things. And if you can address those issues and find out, people arguing about money, which goes back to how do you bring it up? Some people argue about they don't have enough money. And it's really, can we communicate that in a family to where dads or moms are already working 2 or 3 jobs? Well, now they're fighting about it, but it's going to come down to working it out in the family. Once they get to where they're capable and our crime rate starts, getting a little better, our education system gets better, people are going to want to invest in Gallup because the streets will be a little bit cleaner. We got to get rid of the people off of the streets, not as far as, getting rid of them, but I mean helping them. And once we can do that, which is a huge task, it's going to take every leader in this community to get on the same page. Once we can do that, the people will invest. Outsiders will want to come in and invest. And once they get to know the people here, they'll fall in love. But nobody wants to come and see it. I know I mentioned earlier, you can't judge a book by its cover, but that happens. People will judge, specifically, I'm talking about Gallup, not anywhere else, not Cibola or other places, but I'm sure people's mindset are the same way, to where they'll judge it by what they see and by what they look up online.
Yeah.
But then they'll give you the opportunity to get to know somebody. And it makes it very, very hard to do any type of bringing in businesses. So that's one way. Once you do that, we bring in better paying jobs. Right now, people pay peanuts. Even our own government here in Gallup, in our county positions, they pay peanuts. We're going to have to get them the resources and fund them to where they can give those police officers raises, our firemen raises, and our city workers, and our council. Everybody needs a little boost right now. But after inflation and 3% from the state isn't going to cut it. They're going to need a little bit more after what's happened over the last few years. Now, most of those people out on the reservation that you're requiring, they travel into the city to work. But if we can boost those inner cities, whether it be through good union jobs, which I highly support, or just boosting the volume that we can get through into this town and into our county, whether it's Cibola or McKinley County. Once you start cleaning it up, now you're bringing in more business. We can have more tourist attractions and things of that nature, and which will people will pass through and want to get to know people, and they'll become part of the community. But there's no one person, no one senator, no one legislator could say, "Hey, I'm going to get higher income in my community." It's not going to happen like that. It's really not done at the state level, but we can do our job at the state level and make it a clean, safe environment for people to want to be here, and improve that education system. It's a tough task. It's which one's going to come first? We need good people to come here into our community to do that. Well, how are we going to get them here if they see what they have already? And it's going to take a state to be able to want to come and help out our community. And that's going to be a tough task, but it's going to take a whole group of people.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, it definitely will be. And like, so do you have like a strategy of how you would, like, I guess, unite the just political leaders as a whole?
it's not about you. We want to unite them. The message is clear. People want a better education and less crime and get these drugs off the street. That's clear. There's not a Republican issue, conservative, liberal, Democrat issue. It's everybody is on the same page. So I think that's going to be easy enough to do. I think the tough question will be how. And that is where we have to rely on our professionals. And if we're not following, if we're not doing it, and what I mean by our professionals, the sheriff's departments, we've already asked the sheriffs, what do they see? What can they do? They want it less, and they're reaching out to us. What can we do as a representative? We can push for the no bail. For go back to having a bail. Right now we have the no bail. It's a revolving door. So they want to end that catch and release. I know our governor spoke a little bit about it, about the repeat offenders. And our governor is a big supporter of our public safety. She gave them a lot of money for the state police this year. And I think between our governor, our lieutenant governor, we're going to be able to push some pretty good legislation and get that catch and release to stop. We need to hold the criminals accountable. And but here in McKinley County, we need to stop it. We need to stop it quick, because right now it's just a revolving door and they're back out within a few minutes on the street. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, even though there could be something, I'll just give an example. You could have a crack addict smoking crack in a schoolroom, in a school bathroom, in a little boy's bathroom. A grown man, adult, getting in, smoking crack in your bathroom. And you call the police, and they don't come. Or they'll want to say, what's the issue? What's the problem? There's nothing here. What can we do?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen in this community that our own police will turn a blind eye to. It's shameful. But it doesn't mean that they don't want to help. I think they do. I think they might be, because every time I've called, they're just overwhelmed. I think we need more good jobs, more good cops. But it's going to get even harder for them to retain these officers, because, well, they only have a budget to work with, so they're going to need to be able to keep up with the state police. These local police are going to need a huge raise, perhaps one of the largest the state's ever seen. They need it, because you can't have somebody working for the same amount I pay my bus drivers, then they're going to go put their life on the line for you. Yeah. They're going to deal with, the alcohol and the fights and the suicides, and they see the worst of the worst. And then on top of it, we need to show our respect for them. Our youth over these last decade is their opinion of the police through social media has been really, really low. When in fact, here we teach them respect, honor, and we need to love our officers. So in order for all that to happen, I think everybody plays a little bit of a part. The sheriff's department, our local law enforcement, the police departments, as well as the state police. But you can't have one making over $50 an hour and the other one making half of that, or they're just gonna all want to go upwards when everybody puts their life on the line. So we need a huge increase in our public safety from the firemen as well as the police. So that's one way. Well, we need to get them the money.
Yeah.
One way or another, through hell or high water, we need to fight. If they have an extra few $1 billion kicking around, as they quote, well, that should be going to our public safety.
Yeah.
Just clean up these streets and help with the mental health issues, behavioral health issues.
Yeah. And so with that, like helping with that, because obviously you don't want just like want to get rid of like the homeless people, because we want to help them.
We want to help them. That's where building a true rehabilitation center, a true mental health, getting the counselors here, having a rehab hospital would be huge in this community. Right now, I talked to some of the other managers, leaders in our community. We'll say out of Cibola County, they're having to take their officers may have to take somebody to Albuquerque, or well, when they do that, well, now there's less people in that community to protect the community because they have to take an officer away from what they were doing, which means if you're transporting a prisoner, same thing. If you have to go someplace, if your own community doesn't have the resources, adequate resources, maybe they're understaffed, maybe we don't have the proper correctional facilities here, we don't have the proper rehabilitation centers here. Some of them might only be in and out day services. We don't have a lot of overnight. Whenever we don't have enough resources in one department, another department still has to find the resources to give to that person, which now they have to pay more money or less. Our community is less safe because when our officers have to go other places. So fighting for that money to be able to build this community, we're worth it. You know, District 4 is worth it. Cibola County, San Juan County, McKinley County, that's District 4. And we all need the resources. We all need that rehab center badly. And it's going to be coming. I do know they've been in works of having a new Indian hospital. That's been quiet lately, but we're going to find out what the heck's going on with that. And let's report back on that. Let's report next month to see where they're at. Last I knew, the reservation bought some land over off of near Camerco in the new industrial park. And it was last legislative session. They were going to put some utilities and some more water, power, a lot of things out that way and finish out that road. And another reservation bought some of that land from Gallup Community Partners for the Indian Res Hospital, for a new Indian Health. However, my opponent had pulled the funding for those utilities. I'd like to look into that a little bit more and report back to the community on where we sit with that project. Has it been funded? Has it been put out there? I don't believe it has, because I don't believe our industrial park is ready for it yet. I think once we get those utilities done, then we can start that procurement on that. So yeah, that's a good question, because in that process, part of that proposal was to have a mental health facility, a rehabilitation center with part of that. Let's check back in about a month from now and I'm going to get you some answers. Save that question. But I do need to support getting utilities in that industrial park, because that's just going to bring better jobs and higher paying jobs. We can have some place where we can bring in, whether it's a steel factory or something else. There's a lot of things that this community is so talented on, that we could provide a number of different businesses. We're growing. We're very smart. And I think anybody would love to move here once they come here.
So, I do have to ask, how did you meet your wife?
That's a long story. We got time?
We got time.
Well, there was a time I was a single dad and raising 2 children on my own for about 5 years. During that time, after about 3 or 4 years of being raising 2 kids on my own, I started to hit the single scene, going out dancing. I love to dance, country dancing, a lot of line dancing. Even did some competition with that. A group called Two Left Feet, and I love ballroom dancing. Always been in the theater and things like that. So I did some ballroom dancing. And I was at this one place called Applewood, I think it was. And I see all these great dancers out across the floor. And some of them, I'm like, I wish I could do that. So you go there at the beginning and they teach you a little bit. You know, you might learn a salsa or a mambo or mumba, whatever you call it. I can't remember. But there was this one woman out there who was just above everybody else as far as her dancing abilities. And understanding the dance community, you look for a good dance partner. You're not looking for somebody just to get together a date. So I'm looking for a good dance partner, and she was the best. So I went ahead and asked her to dance. And so we're out there ballroom dancing. And she gave me a compliment. I'm pretty good, she says. And thanks. And she said, you know what? How come you're out here, because everybody else is like 20 years older than me. 15, 20 years old. And she says, I should hook you up with my daughter. So, no, that's okay. I'm just out here to learn to dance and have a good time. Well, I went back a couple other times, and I didn't see her the other times, but I went ahead and went about my business. About a year and a half later, I had my own company, and I was doing a project for Bell Atlantic, and there was this sea of cubicles. I was there to rewire their heating system, and there's hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of cubicles, and there's this one woman who stood above everybody else. I just thought was, wow, she looked amazing. She reminded me of something, but I couldn't quite pinpoint it. Well, I hung around her cubicle a lot, and because I had a lot of work to do in there. Sometimes I didn't have a whole lot of work to do, but I still wanted to hang out. So I have to be professional, and I didn't bother to give her my card or name or introduce myself. I had to wait until the last day of my job when I was all done. So about 3 months, I tormented myself. And on the last day of the job, I gave her my card. And I says, listen, I'd love to get to know you sometime. Just give me a call. And, well, about a week later, she gave me a call. So it was Christmas Eve, or the December 23rd. I gave her my card. On New Year's Eve, she gave me a call. Yeah. So we ended up dating the following week, January 4th. And after dating for a little while, we really hit it off. And, well, we decided to get married. That was on my birthday. We got engaged. Prior to that, she introduced me to her parents and stuff, and we're sitting there, and she's like, her mother's like, don't I know you? And we both looked at each other at the same time. And it was like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, we knew each other from Maplewood, where we had gone dancing. She was the one who wanted to introduce me to her daughter.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, you couldn't ask that. The Lord wants you to be with somebody. He's going to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah. Oh.
And so I was struggling with my two children, trying to raise them on my own. And my wife, she had a child from a previous marriage. And together, we became the Brady Bunch and had a couple more on our own. But yeah, it was one of the best days of my life. Is best finds, I guess I could say, finding my wife.
That's wild that you were, out dancing and you met her mom. That's awesome. Wow. Talk about like, create the crazy like coincidence. But like you said, like the Lord. So,
It's meant to be. It's going to happen. When we got talking, it's so amazing how so many times our paths have crossed. Because I'm like, as we get talking and get to know each other, I get to know her family. Her uncle happens to be my weight trainer. So I go to the gym and work out and things. And it was her uncle the whole time. While I'm getting trained by him, she's in the next room over on a cycle or, doing the cardio stuff. I don't do that. I'm out working the weights, but path could have crossed then a few years earlier. Or she had worked at the drugstore that I used to go to in my hometown. It's just so many different things where sure, her cousin happened to be someone I went to school with. We probably are at the same party or something someday. You just don't know.
yeah.
But I've just been blessed, that we finally were able to get together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So.
That's awesome start. Well, that's crazy that you that you met your wife's mom before you even met her. Probably. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you think you can still dance?
Oh, heck yeah.
We can break it down. Like if we set up like a cardboard mat, you just like start spinning on your head.
No. No. I started my dancing way back in high school as a freshman. I think maybe I mentioned, I can't remember, but I was in the theater when I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
So that was one of the opportunities I had, which since I was a freshman, it kind of guided my whole career and where I am today, because I was inspired in school. When I joined the theater production, and I learned how to act, dance, as well as behind stage, and I fell in love with dancing, and I fell in love with electricity, and I wanted to be a lighting director, and not just the lighting director, but there's some pretty cool explosives that you get to do, some flash pots and other things. And as a young kid, that's when you see those things, how you could just take a black room and just turn it into what it looks like daylight or a sunset or all these different modes. It's pretty cool, and that's inspirational to a lot of kids.
Wow.
I know this coming May we're going to D.C. and we teach our kids here at Hojo, about honoring people, and we teach the Constitution, but we also teach the arts. So we'll be hitting a lot of the Smithsonian's. One of the things we're going to go to is Ford's Theater, and that's where Lincoln was shot.
Yeah.
And they'll be putting on a play there, and it's called Little Shop of Horrors. A great musical, the type of music you probably don't hear too often. I saw it when I was a freshman in high school, and I was called Little Shop of Horrors, but it was off Broadway when it first debuted. And I think within a couple of weeks after it debuted on off Broadway, my theater group went down there to see it. It was the best. So little things with our youth, you get inspired. So we're going to take some kids to D.C., and we pray that they get inspired. Maybe they'll find something that'll guide them the rest of their life like it did me.
Yeah. And maybe they'll want to be a lighting director, like how you
they'll want to be a
So
lighting
was that like the thing that you wanted to do? Like you were like, oh man, I wanna
It is until you did it. I did theater throughout the 4 years of high school, and then a lot of community volunteering and things. But life takes over. One once you get that, when he tells me, what do you need to do? You got to become he tells me, you got to become a master electrician. Okay, done. But by that time comes, I found other interests, because in the electrical field, it's just so vague. I'm like, right now I'm into construction, and I'm into an industrial construction, or then residential construction, commercial construction. And your mind just goes to a field like that, to all these other different things. However, my heart still is at the community. I love the
Yeah.
theater. So that's where my heart is. But my money tells me I need to go work in the nuclear field or in the oil and gas. If you want to support the family, then my mind took me, my wallet took me other places.
So did you go to school for that, to be a lighting technician?
Well, I did 2 years of vocational in high school.
Okay.
So I had all my schooling to take my license before I got out of high school, which qualified for me to go take a journeyman test and things like that.
Yeah.
And I might have mentioned that on my website. I think that's important. In high school, you can learn the same classes in high school as you would in college. And so after I took the 2 years of vocational school, well, there were some other college classes I took that I wanted to, I don't know, the things I didn't learn there, like I'd go to university, ASU, Arizona State University. I take some classes there to learn electrical project management, or I might take electrical code courses at other colleges. Or you have to, in order to maintain license, you have to keep up with things, continuing education. And that's what I did. But I also learned electrical estimate, learned how to run my own company. You know, there was a saying, it's if you're not living your own dream, you're living somebody else's. Meaning, you know, you could go to work, you have dreams, and maybe, I don't know what they are, but a lot of people is to work for themselves, to have their own business. But if you're just somebody that is happy coming to work, sometimes you've put aside your other dreams because, well, you're trying to take care of your family. You do what's best to take care of your family, to feed your family. It doesn't mean that person's, you know, doesn't still have dreams. Yeah. And mine is, I want to have my own company. You know, I can do whatever they're doing. They're just making money off of me. So I did that. And then I realized that wasn't my dream. So sometimes the things that you think are, you know, what's going to make you happy, having lots of money, having all that power and all your employees, well, it's not really what it's cut up to be. I have the most fun and enjoyment as an electrician just going out and serving somebody in need. And that's what I realize. I'm not doing what's happy doesn't make me happy. So having that good servant leadership attitude, serving others, that makes me happy. And I think that's what God called me to do, is to serve. So that's kind of a roundabout way. As you notice, I go off topic a lot. I'm like, I could talk all day.
Don't even worry.
My mind just goes.
So what do you teach at Ojo?
I taught an electrical class last semester. Right now, this semester, it was a residential electrical. We teach theory, a lot of code. We got into some pipe bending. We got into electrical services, a lot of definitions. So we did a little bit of everything. It was a long thing where you try to cram as much as you can into them, but at the same time, you want them to absorb what they were taught. So a lot of repeating. And we did some hands-on too. But this semester, I let them know I'm the transportation director. I got 400 kids I got to transport, and this is the time of year I have to get prepped for next year. So my work will be done to where I'll be all set for next year. And it's just going to take this month and the next month. It's going to be my busiest months where it's hard to be in a classroom and focus on other kids' safety as well. So that's why this semester, not teaching. Last semester I taught. But I love it. I love teaching those little kids.
Yeah.
Well, they're not little. They're grown men.
Yeah.
They could beat me in arm wrestling, I think.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So we had touched on like you really want to focus on the family.
Yeah.
How would that look like because I have a lot of friends who are teachers. How would that look like in an education setting?
Focusing on the families in an education setting. Well, that's a tough one. As a teacher, that's really tough. It's like me being a nuclear inspector, okay, an electrical oversight. And I have to somehow tell somebody who's been doing this trade for 40 years that what they did is wrong or it needs to get improved on or something. Because I have protocol I got to follow. I have to have it a certain way. When it comes to a teacher telling a parent something, they can't. You can tell somebody something, but you have to do something in a loving way. Okay, you have to love the kids. First, you have to love them. You have to care about your kids. And like they're your own family. And most teachers do. I mean, they're with these children all day more than they are their family. Yeah. So if you tell a parent that, listen, I'm a little concerned. I'm just going to role play here a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to use Johnny as an example, or John Doe. So, listen, John, I understand, he's just been struggling in class, or his mind just isn't there. And you could ask the parent if there's anything that we can do to help, anything that might be going on. You can't pry into another family's information, but just let them know that we're here. But at the same time, I have to have those resources to back up. A school needs those resources. We need more counselors in our school systems, good qualified counselors. But as far as outreach goes, you love the kids like family, and when the family sees that, they know, that you're only there for their own good, and they'll listen. But there are some teachers that may not have that. They've been doing it for so long, or this or that, or they want to get the most out of their kid. But at the same time, that kid might not even know where he's sleeping that night, or where he's going to get his next meal. Man, you open up a can of worms there because I was that kid. Then I didn't get the best grades. I was bounced from home to home. And this is where I start to go off topic a little bit. It actually all ties back together. Because a teacher has to be quiet in many ways, but you can discuss education. But when it comes to other things, you have to let administration or a counselor handle those other issues. And we don't have enough of them. There's too many issues out there. But I'll go back to me. When I was a student, education is important. Knowing where I'm going to spend that night, knowing that I just pray for a night my mom and dad not to be fighting, or to come home where they're not drinking, or to know where I'm going to be sleeping. Am I going to get evicted? Am I going to be sleeping with the nuns? I don't know where I'm going to be sometimes. Am I going to be with an aunt or an uncle? And I see a lot of that same issue. I see that in a lot of the kids' faces. I hear the stories. As a teacher, we have information that we have to be aware of, just for our own kids' safety and to help educate them. But it breaks my heart, some of the stories, because it reminds me of when I was a kid. And I've been silent, never talked to my kids about how I grew up. And it gets a little emotional sometimes because it's really, really rough. A man puts a lot of things in a box that we don't open them up. And once in a while, that box gets open because of something that just triggered it. And it's been triggering a lot lately since I've been here at Hojo. And then I look around and I'm like, I just want to pick every one of them up and take them home with me and just love them to death. But you can't do that. But you got to give those families the resources and reach out to them and let them know that their student is loved and he's going to be okay. As far as we're here to help, not just in the classroom. Call us, reach out to me. We'll help you. There are some kids that might be into, since they legalized this marijuana thing, it's been running rampant, not just here. Every school system is just young kids, whether it's vaping or marijuana. It's just breaking these kids down. And I'd love to reverse that. That's just it's not good right now. However, well, it's, I wish there was a way. There's no good answer. I'm not saying, I'm not going to go down that road as far as talking about marijuana much because I don't know enough about it. I just know what I see. What I see is it's really affecting our school system and our kids. And it affected my parents because they were in that same situation. They got high or drunk. And they don't hide it from you either. They do not hide it from you. It's right out in front of you. I never, ever took part of any of that. And I don't ever plan to. But I do know my father was very wise when if he knew all of his wrongdoings, and he always would say, do as I say, not as I do. And if I ever tried to think of doing something that he did, I'd have got another good one.
Yes.
You know, but so these kids, we need more resources in our school systems to help this period. But like I said, you ask one question and I go off on a tangent.
That's okay. I guess final closing question is for you personally. You touched on how like you grew up and you didn't know much of like where you're gonna sleep that night or where you're gonna spend. What was that like? Like, could you go more in depth than that?
Yeah. Let's see here. It's scary at times. It's, I don't know. There was one time, you know, you just want to be with your mom or your dad or your brother or your sisters. But instead, it's like your heart's torn out because you get taken from your home and now you're in someone else's home. And there was no cell phones back then. There's no FaceTiming or this or that. You're weeks and months, you know, without talking to your brother or your sister. Sometimes you don't even know where your mom is because she's evicted or I'm having to live with a friend's house. I remember when I was a sophomore in high school. This was probably March, right around my birthday time, I think. And I came home. Well, for the couple of months prior to that, I knew there was something coming up where if you get dropped off the bus or this, you have to get in the house real quick, shades are drawn, things like that, because, well, something was up. I'm young, I don't know the joy. And I don't know much about life back then, but I knew something was up. I felt like you could feel it coming again. Well, I came home and, well, I found out that I had to go spend the rest of my school year with a different family. While my sister, my mom, they just went off to another city, another town, while I had to finish up my school year with a very nice family. They're very kind. They took me in. But now you're living with them for a few months while you don't see your brother or your sister or your mom. So it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. You don't know when you're going to see them next.
Yeah.
So it's tough on kids. It was tough on me. And we have a lot of that in this community.
Yeah.
We have a whole bunch of that. And so getting good grades wasn't on your mind.
Mm.
And you don't know what's going on in your own family life.
Mm.
And we just need, I can't emphasize it enough, we need more counselors. And for years and years, people have been told, don't go into social services as a degree, don't go into counseling, don't do these things. It doesn't pay enough. Well, they're right. You know, one of my aunts was a social worker. Doesn't pay enough. They need to be paid more for what they do. They are the true first responders. I know we talk about police, firemen, our counselors, the people that are there, preventing them from having to, you know, go out and commit a crime or get into the drugs. It's those counselors, they're the ones that are the first responders in that home to make that home balanced and to get the people the help they need. We're first responders and they need to pay. You can't pay them enough. You cannot pay them enough. And I'd love to encourage people to go into that field because they are just loved so much. I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We just need more good, loving people like them. But yeah, so as far as going back to the question, I kind of forgot what it was because I did another rambling on.
No, you answered it as perfect. It's just about like, you know, how it was growing up, but appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Caleb, I want you to keep going ahead and thinking of any questions you want. We're going to come back here and we're going to keep doing Coffee with Keith. Get to know me on a personal level, as well as next time we are here next week perhaps. Well, let's dive into a little bit of my opponent, and that would be George Munoz. I think I'm going to invite him on to see if maybe he'd like to answer some questions. Maybe. I think it's good for the community to get to know him as well. I'd like to get to know him. But once again, thank you for doing this.
Oh yeah, thank you for answering my questions.
And let's see, something special coming up that's dear to me come April 22nd, Earth Day. I'm going to see if we get a special guest speaker on from maybe the State House or somebody. Maybe I want a representative or something. I'm hoping, as we all need to learn a little bit more and respect the Earth a little bit better.
Good.
Thanks, buddy.
Of course.
All right, you guys take that.